You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and leave a message to be played live on air at 408-909-PJFF. Brought to you every week by Creative Media Design Studio. Check them out at creativemediamonterey.com. It's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. We got a special episode for you guys today. It's a Raiders roundtable of sorts. We got a few call-in guests featuring the return of Raider Kane. Che's out this week. He's sick. I'm sick. Everybody's sick. We're still basking in the glory of that KC win, however. So give me a minute here while we get our first guest on air, and we'll be joining you shortly. All right, we got Scott Winter on the line here. You can follow him on Twitter at ScottWinterNFL. Scott, why don't you give yourself a little introduction, let these people know where you're coming from, what it is you're doing, what you've been doing, and where they can find you.
Well, right now I'm kind of the road warrior for the Raiders beat writers. I'm credentialed for all of the road games, and I'll be in Buffalo in the press box this weekend. People can reach me at Scott_WinterNFL on Twitter. They can look up on Facebook the Winter Report, and I write for the RaiderRamble.com and Las Vegas RaidersReport.com.
Tremendous. He's out there, folks. He's busy. He's hustling for you guys. He's on the road. You guys want to be on the road. He's on the road. So let's live through him. Speaking of Buffalo, we're coming off a great win against Kansas City. One for the books, one for the ages. I'm seeing all kinds of nicknames. I think you called it the Thursday Night Thriller. I'm calling it the Timeless Victory. Call it what you want. It's a W. And the Raiders look to get back on track. We look like who we thought we were going to look like going through this season. So let's break down this Buffalo game a little bit. And I kind of want to nip around the edges first and just really talk about the defense. Because it's been on the hot seat. It's been in the spotlight for a long time now. But here we got Ken Norton Jr. He's shouldering a lot of the blame, much like Todd Downing was on the offensive side of the ball. And you had made a comment earlier this week, it might have even been today, I'm not sure when it was, about Ken Norton Jr. and what he's doing over there with his scheming. So help us steer the ship straight. Is this all Ken Norton Jr.'s fault? Is it execution? Is it the personnel he's working with? What are you seeing that he's doing that's working or should be working? And is there anything he's doing that's not working? Is he making adjustments? Help us shed some light on this topic.
Well, I saw it last year after week 6 when they brought Riley in. All of a sudden the scheme started working. Everything started to fall into place. Yeah, they still gave up some big plays, but the defense dropped, had an 8-point swing in points given up for the rest of the season, which was really awesome. They ended up one of the worst defenses in the league because of their historic start to, badness for the first 6 games, but they got better over time. Now, going into the season, they brought in Pagano, which is awesome, and you're seeing a lot of what I call the Pagano effect. Wrote an article about that in the preseason where Pagano will disguise some schemes and stuff like that. But Pagano said something that he wasn't going to let anybody take the top off this defense. And yet again, that's something that we're seeing. We saw Hill do it. We saw Williams do it with Baltimore. Just things that shouldn't be happening. This is not a scheme situation. This is a player personnel and execution situation. Last week, you saw Nelson, who played rather well, even though he had a couple of bad games last year, played pretty good during the season, enough to get him into the Pro Bowl. This year, we're not seeing that player at all. He's out of position a lot of times. He's playing good against the run, but he's out of position on some of these passes. And a guy I like to watch is Gypsy Safety and Ted Wynn of The Athletic. They put out some really good stuff.
Absolutely.
And you saw just how far Nelson was on his single high coverage. He should have shifted over because nobody in the position he started would have gotten over there to be able to get to Hunt.
No.
Hill. And it's those kind of things. But going forward, if Nelson doesn't pick up his step, there are people waiting in the wings. You got Miguel and you got Luwani. Of course, fan favorite's Luwani.
Yeah.
But they're chomping at the bit. So
that's my question is how does Luwani see the field? Because much like, the backup quarterback can be the most popular guy in town, if you're a Raiders fan, the backup secondary are the most popular guys in town at the moment and have been historically. Now, Luwani, in limited playtime, I know it's the preseason, but the kid made some plays. So what's going on there? What are you thinking?
Well, McGill has been in the system for a lot longer, and if you notice on the one play that he gave up a touchdown after he came in for Cujo, he was in perfect position. He made a great play on the ball, and if he catches that ball and intercepts it, nobody's talking about Luwani this week. Right. Nobody is. They're like, hey, look at what McGill did because he was in perfect position. The ball just skips through his hands, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
And now people are like, well, we know what McGill is, blah, blah, blah. McGill knows the system, and that's why they didn't cut him. That's why they kept him on the roster and carried him instead of putting him on IR or cutting him outright, because they believe that he's a valuable backup to those safeties. And now, of course, Cujo's down and McGill is in. Luwani, I think you're going to see a little bit more of Luwani. It's possible. I have a feeling that they're going to give this kid some opportunities, especially if Nelson really continues to blow his assignments. Because Nelson, everybody loves Nelson because of his veteran leadership. He's a team captain. But that's only going to go so far. And plus, I don't see him coming back next year. Luwani and Obi is the future. Obi, of course, the bigger future, but he'll be back for Miami.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if he gets any minutes at all in that Miami game. I think everybody's really excited to see what he can offer. Definitely, there's been some criticism on his size and his build as a safety that he's a hybrid guy. But I mean, I'm high on Obi. I mean, the unknown is always positive, right? In Raider Nation, when you don't know, you want to see it. So we'll wait and see on that. I did see that Carl Joseph did not participate today in practice. He's got a groin injury. He was limited on Wednesday. What are your thoughts? Are we going to see KJ this weekend? You think he suits up?
I doubt it, and simply because there's a basic rule with the Raiders: if they don't practice, they don't play. And we've seen that time and time again all year. If he's not a go tomorrow, and you know how groin injuries are. I mean, that is a really bad place to get injured. It's one of those things that can really nag up on you. So if he's not a go, they have no problem putting McGill in there, and they have no problem holding on to Luwani as backup for either position.
Yeah, that groin really makes it difficult to pivot, turn your hips, get position, and all things you really need to do in that safety spot. Moving on, the secondary itself is pretty banged up. As we already know, Conley's not seeing the field. I've been telling people he's probably not going to see the field this season. I think if you think Conley makes an appearance again this season, you're highly optimistic. I just have a feeling he's not going to see the field unless we go deep. And even then, it's a long shot. That's just my gut feeling. But then Amerson also did not play or did not practice Wednesday, Thursday, dealing with a foot injury. He's highly unlikely to go. I would say he's probably a shoo-in not to go. And then Sean Smith been getting a lot of time and a lot of money to stand on the sidelines. I've been critical of Sean Smith since last year. I was blaming Nelson even last year. Sean Smith's a guy that benefited from Eric Berry and KC. He benefits with help over the top, and Nelson just does not have that speed to cap off over there and help him. And so going into this weekend, it's looking like possibly Carey and McDonald. How do you feel about that matchup?
Well, Carey has been playing out of his mind this year. And when I say that, he's the number 18th ranked cornerback on PFF, which is well above what he's been playing like in the past. His first year, he was decent. Of course, the opposite side was Hayden, and everybody was picking on Hayden. So
yeah,
he had a little bit of regression. Of course, he went to safety, and he came back. And last year, he kind of picked things up. He looked awful in the preseason. Everybody was jumping on him over that. But this year, he's been hands far and away our best corner. I believe I'm happy with him. And McDonald, every time he's gotten an opportunity, McDonald has played well. He's been serviceable. And right now, that's all we need is serviceable out there. Somebody who can just not let anybody get behind him. McDonald is quick. He can accelerate well. I liked his film, his tape from college. A lot of people have always told me, just keep an eye on him. He's been hanging around the organization long enough. I just have a good feeling with him out there. We're also going to see Smith in situations just like we saw Smith last week. Sean Smith was out there last week for a little bit, and he still has value.
He does.
With Sean Smith, it's all mental. It's all mental. You put him on a big receiver, and he has value there.
Right.
On the quick, speedy receivers, no, you're right. Eric Berry benefited. And when Nelson got better last year, they played well in tandem, and there was a big stretch there where Sean Smith was a fantastic corner. At least 8-10 games.
Yeah.
Where they kind of locked it down.
It got real quiet, and nobody really said anything. There was no praise, but it was quiet, and quiet's good.
Quiet's good.
So getting back to, I guess just to help me segue here, Ken Norton Jr., as you're saying, it's not necessarily scheme. It's more personnel. He's a coach on the sidelines and what a defense really needs as well as a coach on the field. Obviously, we have Khalil Mack, a tremendous player, tenacious dude, smart guy, but not in a position to be the coach on the field. So enter Navarro Bowman. He shows up last week, short work, consumes the playbook, gets out there, he's lining guys up, he's doing a lot of work pre-snap. I'm at the game, I'm watching him, he's active, and just really blowing people away. He made some mistakes last week, but he made plays too. You're not going to be perfect on every play in the NFL. And so in your opinion, how does Navarro Bowman help this defense against a slippery Buffalo offense this week? You got Shady McCoy, who can hurt you both in the passing and the running game. In fact, I think he's leading their team in receptions so far. He's got 32. And I think that the second place on their team is Clay with 20. And then you got, obviously, Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, another slippery guy. These are the type of people that have typically hurt the Raiders in the recent past. Does Bowman help? Is he a factor this week?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The thing that Bowman gives them, it's kind of like I said, when Riley came back. Well, Riley came into his own week 7 on, you've got an experienced middle linebacker out there who can audible, not just call the defense, not just relay. He knows when people are out of position. He can scheme against audibles. He can do little things. He can put people in positions, and he's an all-pro guy. Yeah, he's lost a little bit of a step. You're not going to want to see him covering, a tight end all the time.
Right.
That's not where you want him at. But he is absolutely going to lead this team and get them in the right position, get people covered up. And if you noticed, last week, the team defense, the way it was schemed, they were bumping Kelsey. They kept Hunt in check, except for that one big run. Other than that, he was quiet, 3.22 yards per carry. Now, Shady all season's not been the running back of old. He's averaging 3 yards per carry now. As a receiver, he's been good. And that's something that's hurt the Raiders. Tight ends and, of course, running backs coming out of the backfield have been hard on this defense, plus over the top. Those are your 3 weaknesses. But him clamping down on the run, if you can contain Taylor, like they contained Alex Smith. You notice Alex Smith didn't run for a lot of yards.
No.
And Alex has burned us with his legs in the past.
Absolutely.
So if you contain the most exciting running back in the game right now, and that's Hunt, and you contain the best quarterback in the league right now, and Alex Smith, as far as keeping him contained in his legs, one bounced pass and one errant pass, roughing the quarterback penalty, and the defense is 350 yards given up and 16 points. I mean, that was the difference between 30 and 16.
Absolutely, it was real close.
That close.
Real close, and that's that sounds funny saying it, but a high-powered KC offense, pains me to say that, but it was true. It's true. And so, we're going into Buffalo, and I do say that their offense is slippery, but it's not a powerhouse. It's dangerous, but they are not a powerhouse. I think more than anything, their defense scares me. I believe they're leading the league right now in turnover ratio, and if they're not leading, they're high up there. I think they're a plus 10. They got 9 interceptions on the year. Yeah. So definitely a concern. I don't think we've won a single game where we've given up an interception this season. So that's concerning. But hey, it's a new week in the NFL. That's new opportunities. If this offense can repeat what they did last week, if we can get back on track and look like the Raiders of old, and this defense can step up and hold its water, I got a good feeling about this game. How do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like there's some good opportunities. Buffalo's strength is turnovers and its run defense. They're only giving up about 84 yards a week in the run, but their pass defense, their secondary, has been leaky. They are a true bend but don't break defense, and they will definitely capitalize on their mistakes. Now, their offense is under 18 points per game if you take away the points that they've gotten on their defense, because, I mean, they basically wrecked Matt Ryan. They took 2 pick sixes to the house, and that's where they beat Atlanta. Now, the Raiders come in. Buffalo is 3-0 at home. The Bills Mafia is a real deal. They're pretty strong this year as far as their fan base. They're excited, and the Bills are a resurgent 4-2 right now. But it's not because of their offense at, like I said, averaging less than 18 points per game, and it's not because their secondary is locked down. It's just they're taking advantage of that plus 10 turnover race through, and you can't hardly run on them.
And to be fair, they haven't converted all of those turnovers into points. You mentioned in the Atlanta game the 2 pick sixes, but they're plus 10, and they're not converting all of those into points. So as nice as that stat looks, it's maybe not quite as dangerous as it seems. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say, especially with an offense that's very good at not turning the ball over. And the Raiders, even though we've had some interceptions this year and whatnot, the Raiders are very stingy about giving the ball away. Yeah. Typically, the only difference this year is we aren't getting the turnovers that the defense gave us last year and the year before.
And that's got to break at some point. What better time than now? Just looking at Buffalo's schedule here, and it's just all over the place. I mean, they jump out against the Jets in week 1. In week 1, the Jets were a team that everybody thought they can beat. That storyline's changing, maybe. And then the Panthers, they come out. That's a 3-9 game that they lose and put up 3 points against Carolina. They come out, they beat Broncos. They're a vulnerable team, let's face it. The Broncos are definitely vulnerable. The Falcons we already talked about, and then the Bengals, they drop another L on that game. They only score 16 points. They lose 20-16, and then they come out against the Buccaneers last week. They win 30-27. That's a close game. So just Buffalo's all over the board right now, and I'm not trying to downplay that team. There's talent on that team. There's talent on every NFL roster, and you mentioned it. They are difficult to run on. That front four is difficult. I see this team. I see the Raiders hopefully spreading them out. I don't want to see these jumbo formations. I don't want them to get stubborn, so to speak. Spread them out, run from the shotgun, try to weaken them up front a little bit. That's one of my keys to the game this week. What's a key to winning this game this week for you, Scott?
Pass to set up the run. You got to pass the ball. You've got to protect the ball, and you've got to move the chains. And when you get down into their red zone, you have to make them bend and break. You got to score touchdowns, not kick field goals. That's a big thing that Buffalo does. They allow you to move down the field, and either they take the ball away or you're kicking a field goal. That's been their strength on defense. But the Raiders on offense, it's got to look like the same one that played Buffalo last year, 29 unanswered points. I want to see 29 unanswered points and that sort of thing. I want to see the throttle down, pass first, and then set up your run in a spread formation like they're talking about.
That's it. And let's not give up 20-plus first before we go on that 29-0 run, correct?
Right. That's the flip side is on defense. You have to contain Shady, and you have to contain Tyrod Taylor. If you can do those things, you can keep him in the pocket, and you can contain Shady. If he catches a ball in the flat, you're tackling him. If he's running between the tackles, you're stopping him for a loss. You know, big play from Jelly, big play from Mario Edwards Jr., big plays from Vanderdoes when he's in there, big plays from Bowman and James and Bowman together. That's going to be exciting to watch, I believe. And if you can just cover them long enough on throwing the ball, you're going to see Mack and Edwards and Bowman. You're going to see some sacks in there too. That's what they've got to do.
Mack's homecoming. We're looking at you. It's a homecoming of sorts for you, buddy. We're looking at you. Definitely looking at you this week. You want to give us a score prediction? That's fun to do.
Okay, I'm saying Buffalo 17 and the Raiders 31.
Ooh, I like that. That's a bold prediction. I like that. That makes me feel good. You put a smile on my face today, Scott.
Well, I believe that again, the matchup tells me that they can throw the ball. The thing is, though, is they've got to protect the ball. Now, if you look at Kansas City, Peters is out there. You know, he can intercept the ball at any time, but they schemed very well, got Cooper open. I expect another big game from Cooper. I expect more from Michael Crabtree as well. And you're going to see Cook. And you know what? I'm expecting, I want to see Lee Smith. They'd like to do this. I think Lee Smith on a skinny post is going to get a TD, just like he did in the preseason.
He gets that creeper touchdown every once in a while. They just kind of wait and just, go ahead and ignore Lee Smith for a few weeks, and then we're going to hit you for 7.
Yep.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, Scott. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Anything else you want to say before you get up out of here?
I've loved listening to your show. I've actually, ran across your podcast a couple of times. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be on your program. I know you've got a fanatic audience of fans, 4,000 people come to your site every day. That's awesome. And I'm just glad you gave me a shot to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. We look forward to talking to you again in the future. We were talking before we came on. We definitely have more things to discuss going forward. I love all the work that you do. Somebody said it on your Periscope this last week that you do keep it real, and we're going to get into that some more because you definitely are a guy that keeps it real. You've been all over the place. You're from the Bay. You're not here now, but I know you got a piece of the Bay in your heart, a very large piece of the Bay in your heart. And you're doing work on the Las Vegas thing, so I know that tears you up. We're going to get into that in the future because I really like where your head's at there. I think it's probably one of the most realistic approaches I've heard. People are either on one side or the other. There's a lot of extremism when it comes to that topic, and I like where you're at. It's similar to where I'm at, where I guess centralist, if you were to say, on the topic, and realist, I guess, if you wanted to put it that way too. So I look forward to that. If you're willing to, we'd love to have you back on. I'd love to come join you on your show, and make sure you check them out. What's the name of your podcast, sir?
Las Vegas Raider Report. Scott G over there has brought me in as a weekly contributor now, so I'll be co-hosting, and it's fantastic. We're having a lot of fun. We're going to be having the member of the local 872 on here pretty soon. We're going to have some people come on. It's going to be great. I'll let them know about your interest, see what we can do there. But we're real excited about it because Scott is a professional. He's a boxing writer. They got a lot of experience over there. I'm real excited with working with them. And then, of course, I do write also for them and, Mario Tavares' Raider Ramble, where there's some fantastic talent there as well. Real excited about that.
Yeah, check this guy's work out. It's great stuff. Again, Scott_Winter NFL on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. He's a great follow. He interacts with all the writers. A lot of love, and he spreads it around, and we appreciate you getting on the road. I know traveling always sounds nice and exotic to everyone else, but it's a grind out there, getting on those airplanes, the hotel life, all that. Sure, it's fun, but it's not all apple pie that it looks like from the outside. So I appreciate the hard work that you're doing out there, all the leg work that you're doing, and keep up the good work, Scott.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, sir, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, tremendous conversation there with Scott Winter. We want to thank him for coming on the show and making his grand re-entry to the Pillaging Podcast is your boy, Raider Kane. Welcome back to the show, Raider Kane. We missed you, bro.
Hey, what's up, man? How's it been going, man?
It's been good, man. It's been good. I want to get right into it. You and I, last time we saw each other, we were in the D lot. We were getting primed and ready to walk into the stadium for Thursday Night Football. And the last thing that you and I said to each other is we had a really good feeling about this game. There was good energy in the parking lot. It was going around. And we left. We went into the stadium. You sit over there by the torch. I was sitting in a dirt lot seat. Shout out to Dirt Lot. And shout out to Forever for holding me down week to week also with tickets. And I was there in the north end zone. And so we basically we're on opposite sides of the field from each other. But we were there for me, probably the most exciting game I've ever seen live. And I wanted to talk to you about the stadium post-game reaction and just everything that was going through your mind leading up to it and after it and how you felt and how you feel about things now. So Crabtree, well, before we get there, 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Carr's got the ball. It's what, 30-24. What are you thinking at that point?
I'm thinking we get ready to win. That's all Carr has shown me over the last 2 seasons, that he's going to come back in the fourth quarter and get us a victory. And that's exactly what I thought at that moment right there. I told everybody sitting around me, don't leave, sit down. Let's support the team. This is our season right here. If we don't win this game, it's over. Why are you leaving? Sit down. Root for the team. And you know what? They rewarded us, man. So, hey, it was shout out to Derek Carr, shout out to the Oakland Raiders offense, Michael Crabtree, rolling left Derek Carr. Hey, you was the man, brother. Do your thing.
That was incredible. And I was reading after the game that they practice that a lot in practice, but they go right on that play. And they've never run that play in a game before. And then he calls the play to go left, and we're left with one of the most amazing Raider victories in modern times. A lot of people calling that game something. I just call it amazing. I call it the timeless victory. You call it what you want. It's a W, and it gets us back on track. The energy.
Timeless victory sounds good.
Timeless victory.
I like that.
No time on the clock. I mean, who does that but the Oakland Raiders, right?
Right, man. Hey, another epic game, bro, to go down in the history books. They'll be showing that game 50 years from now.
Hey, knowing our luck, they're going to mess around and change that rule, too.
You know what? They just might do that, huh?
They might. But for now, it's in the books. It counts as a W, and we're going to take it. The energy was so electric that night. Did you feel it on your side of the field? Was it going crazy over there?
Oh, man. Hey, look, man, the energy was something I can't say that. It was up there with the AFC Championship against the Titans, man. It was right there.
Wow.
I was telling a friend of mine at work the other day, he was asking me how I was at the game, and I basically said, look, man, that was a game that you wanted to be there. It was like me being at the AFC Championship again, man. We needed that game so bad, bro. Like, we needed that game. It saved our season. Yeah. And if we didn't get that game, our season is over. You can start looking to the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I was up there shouting, "This is our season." I know you're like me. You're vocal at the games. I know you like to let it out, and we hold down our sections wherever we're at. I know you're holding it down over there on the south end zone, hovering just above the
I was, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was, man. Oh, yeah, man. You know what? And shout out to Section 201, man, and Section 200, man. You guys, you held it down. You didn't give up. You stayed until the very last play. Shout out to everybody in Section 201 and 200, man, because we had to be there for this. This was a great thing. This was something you probably haven't. A lot of you are youngsters, and you probably haven't even witnessed a game like this because we've been losing for so many years. You know what I mean? So, this was something that you can remember and you can tell your grandkids about. I mean, no time on the clock, 3 touchdowns scored back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
Literally, because you got to count Jared Cook, and Jared Cook probably should have stretched that ball out just to be on the sure side, and he fell down at the 1. But we all thought it was a touchdown, right, bro?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
man, so, that was epic, man. It was epic.
I've been telling people that we scored 3 touchdowns on that drive. Our record should be 5-4 right now. We won that game so many times, our record should be 5-4 right now. Exactly.
100%. I agree with you on that.
But, man, that place was rolling. How great was it to see the look on Chiefs fans that were in the stadium? That was classic. Classic.
I didn't have no Chiefs fans around me to heckle, man.
No.
So it was all Raider fans, man. I didn't see not one Chiefs fan. Either they got up out of there because they thought they was getting ready to lose, or it just wasn't none sitting around me that night. I was basically focused on the game. This was one of them games where I wasn't inebriated. I had to go to work that day, man. So I had to show up at the game, and it was pretty cool, man. It was epic.
Definitely cool. Epic. That place was rolling. I was walking back to the car. I saw a triangle formation of Raider fans with the Chiefs fan behind them. I pointed them out. I said, "You running a wedge for Chiefs fan?" And the guy just looked at me like, "Yeah, we're running the wedge through the parking lot." Yep. Man, wow. I had friends that left that game early, bro. I had friends that left that game after the 3 and out in the fourth quarter. They left. They bounced, and that's on them. That game was. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I did give a shout out to those 2 sections, but I did want to say I had to bring a number. I had to bring it back, man, because right after that, a lot of people that took the wind out of our sail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was it. That was like, oh, man, we're going to lose, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just said, you know what? We still got time left on the clock. All we need to do is get a 3 and out, and it's back in our hands. And Derek Carr got enough time on the clock. We're only down by a touchdown. We're down by 6 points, not 7. So all we need to do is score a touchdown, kick the field goal, and kick the extra point, and we win.
Oh.
And you know what? A lot of people was looking at me like, okay, yeah, you're right, whatever. But they sat down, they stayed, and when Khalil Mack and Danico Autry got that sack, bro, I was like, see, I told you, sit down, man. See, everything is good. The crowd just went wild. Like, it was almost like you knew we was going to win after that. Like, when the defense came through and made a stop when they needed to, you knew we was going to win that game. You know what I mean? There was nothing that night that was going to that was going to stop us from winning that game. I guarantee you.
You could definitely feel it in the air. I will not argue with that. There was something magical going on. There was particles floating around that stadium. But that's the KC game, and now it's in the rearview mirror. It was a shot in the arm for the Raiders. It was definitely a big shot in the arm for the Raider Nation, and everybody should be believing if they're not already. And so let's look forward to this Buffalo game. I had a chance to talk about it a little bit with Scott, and we got into some aspects of it, but I'm looking forward to getting into it with you right now. What are you looking at in this Buffalo game? We kind of broke it down a little bit already in the previous segment. Shady McCoy, he's not getting it done on the ground like he has in the past, but he is getting it done in the passing game. And so we know he's evasive. We know he's a weapon. We know Tyrod Taylor, who was not there last year at quarterback for us when we played them. In fact, it was our own EJ Manuel that was in the pocket. And they gave us some fits. We scored 29 unanswered points to come back and win that game. How do we get things done differently in this game? We're going to be without Carl Joseph. He's out with the groin injury. We're going to be without David Amerson. So you got Kerry and McDonald on the outside. We're without Marshawn Lynch. He's suspended, and that's a whole nother story I don't even really want to touch because everybody's touching it. What do the Raiders have to do to win this game?
Score points. Derek Carr has got to come out and be Derek Carr. Buffalo's defense is not world beating, but they're not bad either.
Mm-mm.
You know, I won't say they're in the bend, but don't break because they're a little bit better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, but they got shredded. Like I said last week, they got shredded by Jameis Winston. So Derek Carr should be able to come out and pass that ball around, spread it around to Cook and to Crabtree and to Cooper. And, and we should be able to, as long as we do what we do on offense,
mm-hmm.
we should be all right. Now on defense, you need to contain Tyrod Taylor. I'm sure you and Winter talked about this. You need to contain Tyrod Taylor. Don't let him get out the pocket and run for extra yardage. Because I don't think, even though our DBs haven't played well as they could,
mm-hmm.
they haven't lost. Surprisingly, they haven't lost us any games. I mean, last week was the first time you really saw a flaw with the DBs, and Amerson's particularly. He got cooked by Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill is not somebody that he's a good receiver. So he's not just your run-of-the-mill average receiver that just cooked the Amerson. No, he was a pretty good receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And Amerson pretty much got cooked. So
yeah,
we saw some efficiency there. That was really what I want to say, because the defense has pretty much kept us. I want to say in all the games that we lost, except for maybe the Ravens game, and even in that game, we had a chance to come back and win.
Yeah.
So
in that game, it was the run that stung us. They beat us on the ground at the end there. We couldn't stop the run, and there you go. It wasn't the DB's fault. The Chargers game, we beat ourselves in that game. Drop passes in that game killed us.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
As much as we've harped on the DBs, they haven't necessarily lost us the games this year. It's been everything else. And now you got Carr getting back on track, looking like his old self last week. And you said it. I mentioned the injury report. I didn't list a single wide receiver on that report. So, I asked you what's the key to the game, and you say score points. And that sounds like a Maddenism, but no, it's not. Score points. That's what we expect this offense to do. The Buffalo Bills aren't going to put up 30 points against the Raiders. It's not going to happen.
I don't see that happening. The defense, the defense has been playing pretty good. Like I said, they've been keeping the offense in games, and we've had a chance to come back in the fourth quarter in every game we lost, even at Washington and also against the Ravens. Those were the two, I believe, highest scored teams that scored the most, other than Kansas City, which we won, that scored the most points on us. So, I feel like we got a chance as long as Derek Carr and the offense comes out and they do their thing. Make sure we mix in some Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of that. And I don't think we're going to miss Marshawn Lynch. DeAndre Washington got some tough yardage last week when we needed him to.
Yeah.
Particularly on a 3rd and 4 run, he got 6 yards when we needed it to get the first down last week. Tough yards, too.
Tough.
He fought for him.
Tough.
So.
Baby beast mode.
Exactly. So I think these guys are ready and prepared, man. What we need to, the only thing we need to worry about is Todd Downing calling the right offensive game, man.
Yeah.
If we can get our offensive coordinator and our quarterback on the same page, we'll be fine.
Keep moving Amari Cooper around. That worked for us last week. And Michael Crabtree, you got 6 touchdowns. I think that's tied for first in the NFL. If not, it's up there. And in a game where ball control is essential, and against Buffalo it is. We mentioned the plus 10 turnover differential. Crabtree is a great possession wide receiver. And Niner fans' ears are burning right now when I say that, but it is the truth. Get this guy the ball. He's a great 3rd down wide receiver. Amari Cooper is your game breaker wide receiver. Get all these guys the ball. Get him some action. Cook, hold on to the damn ball. It seems like when one player on our team loses the dropsies, another player catches it. And I want to see sure hands this week because you got an opportunistic Buffalo defense. Go ahead.
What was lost in the Kansas City game was Jared Cook made 2 or 3 critical catches.
Oh.
We're going to need that from Jared Cook going down the stretch here. We're going to need Jared Cook to, like you said, hold on to the ball. We're going to need him to make those critical catches. He's 6'5", 240 pounds. I saw this guy in camp. He's huge.
He runs like a gazelle, too.
If you throw the ball anywhere near him, put him on a linebacker, he's going to make the catch if he can just hold on to the ball. So we're going to need him down the stretch. And teams haven't been, speaking on Buffalo's defense, teams haven't been running the ball well on Buffalo. So Buffalo has been holding teams to under 100 yards defense.
Yeah.
They 15th in rush defense, I believe right now, 15th in rushing defense or 19th, something. They're between 15 and 20.
Not too shabby.
Off the top of my head, I had the paper right here. But they got a good run defense. So we're gonna need to throw the ball, and we got the receivers for it. Listen, man, this offense was built to go to the Super Bowl without a doubt. The offensive line is the highest paid offensive line in football. You got, supposedly one of the best wide receivers, the top 100 wide receivers in football. You got Michael Crabtree, a veteran, savvy vet who can keep you in games. He gonna catch everything from here to the moon, And then you got Derek Carr, and we know what he can do. 14 fourth quarter comebacks in 3 years. So that's unimaginable. I mean, I don't even think Dan Marino or Joe Montana has numbers like that. So we just got to go out and do our thing, man.
He's the heart attack kid. I'm glad you mentioned the postseason because that brings me to my last question before we get into the break. Do the Raiders have a shot at the playoffs in 2017? Statistically, our chances are at 20%. But I'm asking you, Kane, do the Raiders have a shot at the playoffs in 2017?
Today, yes. If you lose on Sunday, no.
Is every game a must-win game from here on out? I mean, considering KC does what they do, we can't count on other teams. Is it a must-win game from here on out?
Being that it's an AFC opponent and they trying to go to the playoffs just like we are, if you expect to go to the playoffs, then you need to beat this team.
I feel you, man. Thanks for joining us. And for all of you guys listening, we're going to have Kane on here. He's going to be a weekly segment. This is Kane's Corner. I forgot to mention, brought to you by our new sponsor, NFLshop.com. If you're looking for a jersey or some new Raiders gear, make sure you come on pj4f.com and click the banner on the site. Click through that. Help us support the fan site here. Help us support bringing fans out for the games. Help us support the podcast and support this team. Support yourself by getting you a nice, brand new, crispy jersey. Again, Kane's Corner brought to you by NFLshop.com. It's been great having you back on, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you next week.
For sure. We're going to get up out of here and go Raiders.
Go Raiders, baby.
Peace.
Kenny, Alan, London out. Wow. Fell asleep in the fourth quarter, but I'd been up all the previous 22 odd hours. Can you believe it? Logged back onto the Pillaging and find out we won. Oh well. Better luck next time out, but go Raiders!
What up, Pubsters? It's the mighty Plunk. My thoughts on the KC game is that was one of the most satisfying games I have watched in quite some time. Man, it was great. Return to Cooper. I mean, there are so many great things about it. My key for the Buffalo game is the Mighty Mites are unleashed. We need to have both Washington and Richard contribute, and I think that might happen. Anyway, go Raiders. Put your pants.
Star Shalom.
Hey fellas, long time, first time, Jesus Raider Jim here. That game last week against KC, in my 50 years of fandom, has to go down as one of the top 10 games, especially one of the top 10 games at the Coliseum. Hopefully this week our D can keep stepping it up, our O can continue on the path they're on. And I just want to give a special shout out to all my blog homies, Forever, Kane, Dwayne, Hawaiian Raider, Plunk Hall of Fame, 303, Chuck Fu, and of course, Homer. Raider on, boys. We got this.
What's up, Kenny? It's 303 Raider. Man, I am freaking pumped. Probably Thursday. It's Thursday and I'm drinking a beer. Anyways, last Thursday's game was amazing. Amazing, right? How many times did you think that game was over? Number 4 led us to victory. Big victory. I mean, I guess we'll see if it's a season-turning victory because we have to stack wins. But man, that will go down as, I mean, probably one of the most exciting games, if not the most exciting Raider game, football game that I've watched. So much drama against the hated Chiefs. They've won 5 in a row against us. We had to have that game. Epic. And to see Mari Cooper, and I've been tough on Amari, to see him break through, amazing. Anyway, none of that means a whole lot unless we back that up with the win on Sunday. We're going to a hostile environment. Buffalo's 3-0 at home. Tyrod Taylor has been very effective. Shady McCoy's got a good running game. Tyrod Taylor's good at throwing the deep ball. Our corner sucks. So, but with all that, I think, we're just coming off of that high, a good bye week. Hopefully the offense is starting to get a little bit more consistency under Downing. I like the signing of Jared Cook last game, even though he dropped some balls still. And everyone forgets that he dropped the ball in the end zone. That would have ended the game, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But him being incorporated in the offense is huge. Hopefully the defense shows and limits McCoy and Taylor running. We do that, I think we walk out of there 21-17. Go Raiders.
Hi fellas, Dan78 here. I want to talk to you guys about last week's game. Best game I have watched with the outcome benefiting the Raiders. It will go down in history with the games like the Holy Roller, the Sea of Hands, the Heidi game. I am calling it the Game of Throws. We will go to Buffalo this week and we will kick their beep beep.
The following segment is not safe for work. And we're back. That's right, we're back. Incredible first segment. We're going to continue this we're going to continue this Raiders roundtable. We got a special guest coming on right now, deep in the heart of enemy territory, embedded in Kansas City. I want to welcome a longtime friend of mine. He goes by the name of Gent, lifelong Raiders fan. Don't get it twisted, okay? He's from the Bay. Don't get it twisted. He lives in Kansas City. He went out there for a reason, and he's going to tell you what that reason is, maybe, if you're lucky. Gent, welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? What's going on, Kenny?
Man, I'm living the dream right now. I thought our hopes were, well, you know me. I didn't think our hopes were dashed. I always have hope, but it was getting precipitous, if you will, and we grinded out a real gutty victory last week, and I really wanted to call and check in with you about Kansas City Chiefs fan culture, what it's like going into a Raiders game, and what it was like coming out of this Raiders game. So if you can, just sprinkle me with a little bit of that knowledge, a little bit of that experience that you got going on out there dealing with Kansas City Chiefs fan on a day-to-day basis, because that's what it is, right? It's day-to-day with these guys. So tell me a little bit about Chiefs Red Friday, I think you called it, and then let's talk a little bit about Raiders Week. Let the fans know about that. What does that look like out there?
See, in the Bay Area, Kansas City Chiefs game is another, how you say, another game we got to play, man, in the division.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Kansas City, it's something else. See, you truly have to pay for the sins of your fathers. And these fans' fathers remember the Raiders of the 60s and 70s beating a team up out there on the field. So they hate us with a different level. You know, I think they hate us more than we hate 49er fans, bro. I mean, it's that serious for them. So here in Kansas City football, you know, all they have is the Chiefs. There's no basketball team to root for, like, you know, we root for the Warriors. There's nothing. They got the Royals, don't get me wrong. They got a baseball team.
Sure.
But that's all they have. They have baseball and football. So Chiefs is something real serious out here. And on Fridays, you know, in the Bay Area, you guys may have Casual Friday where you could wear your blue jeans to work. Well, Casual Friday is called Red Friday out here in Kansas City, and you're allowed to wear your Chiefs gear to work. And they do that for 15 games out of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But or 14 games, I should say, out of the season. But 2 times a year they have what's called Raiders Week, where employers encourage fans and employees to wear Chiefs gear all week long, themselves pumped up and psyched up to make Arrowhead the noisiest it could be when it comes to Raiders Week, bro. You know, I am a 6'4", 235-pound male. And they just have people running up on me like it's the thing to do. Like, hey, fuck the Raiders. The Raiders suck. You know what, pal? That's okay. I deal with that, but I did not want to deal with it anymore this season, bro. So I was glad to see us get a win. My brother, you ever got a chance to meet him, Kenny? He passed away in 2014, and he used to have a saying called the stages of denial. And a catchphrase for us, like if somebody, like Amari Cooper was going through the stages, bro, because he wasn't catching the ball, and then he broke free on the Chiefs. But the stages of denial is what these Chief fans are going through right now, bro. The stages of denial means like everything was going your way until like the Chiefs game for them, or the San Diego game for us,
right?
Where we're leading the whole game and we let them busters kick a field goal and win by 1 point. So it happens. Everybody goes through the stages of denial.
Yeah.
The Chief fans right now are truly going through the stages of denial, bro. They calling out their coach, their defensive coordinator. The sky is falling. They not wanting to watch the playoffs no more. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I just hope that energy carries over into the organization, because what we need more than anything right now is a KC collapse. They're on a 2-game losing skid, and let's just hope that energy continues to flow in that direction.
Don't get it twisted. The Chiefs organization is more thorough than that.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the Chiefs as a worthy adversary, bro. Somebody to test your mettle. You know, when you go to the playoffs, where you're truly worthy if you defeat them. And we show, bro, that our team is truly worthy of being able to be a playoff team. We just got to get our shit together, man. Simple and plain.
So, it is what it is right now. We're 3-4 in the division. I'm taking a little trip this weekend. When I come back, I'm buying a plane ticket for Kansas City. If we're still on, if you still want to hold up your end of the bargain, because I've not ever been to a Raiders road game, and I would be honored to come see a Chiefs game in Arrowhead Stadium with you representing Raider Nation to the fullest. There's nobody else I would rather go to this game with. You're holding it down out there in Kansas City, and you told me something earlier. Somebody called you out. You have your stepson who's now is he a Chiefs fan or is he a Raiders fan?
There's no house divided here. No, he started out as a Chiefs fan, and to be honest with you, Kenny, I never ever told my stepson that he couldn't root for the Chiefs. He was born in Kansas City. You know, I thought originally that it would be fun, something for us to go back and forth with, him being a Chiefs fan. But when he first moved in with me, he was about 6 years old. And so, yeah, he was a Chiefs fan because everybody, all his peers are Chiefs fans. You know, he's from here. But once he felt the energy that me and my brother, because we watch football religiously, watch the Raiders out here. At the time, I had got the Sunday ticket, so we was watching the Raiders game. And then he got to see the product on the field, and he got to truly see both sides of it as far as how the referees, how we have to, when we win a football game, bro, we didn't just beat the other team.
Yeah.
You know, we got to beat the NFL and the other team and the fans in the stands. And you know what I mean? Everybody as a whole entity is against the Raiders.
Like Al Davis said, there's 31 teams in the NFL, and then there's the Oakland Raiders.
Right. Hey, and it's painfully obvious. That's one of the things that I've truly appreciated Jack Del Rio for, that I think is kind of going unnoticed. We're not the most penalized team in the league right now.
No.
You know, the Raiders have been playing with true discipline. Now, that could be one or two things. They finally accepted that Al Davis had been passed away. And who they had a grudge against isn't here anymore. Or the Raiders, despite being looked at with a super scrutinous eye by the officials, have been playing discipline. as far as the penalties are concerned compared to the rest of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we haven't had some yellows thrown that we didn't deserve, but that's going to happen. That's the cost of being a Raider fan. But I digress. Let me get back to my stepson. He couldn't help himself, bro. He was infected. You know, he loves the Oakland Raiders now. Mm. He loves going to school and dogging on Chief fans and defending the silver and black. And some of my friends out here was like, hey, man, you can't be raising Raider fans out of natural-born Kansas Cityans. What's going on with this? And I said, bro, that's what I came out here to do. Yes, I'm a steep and breed y'all out.
I love it. I appreciate that. You know, Raider Nation appreciates that. We don't die. We multiply.
Exactly. Hey, another thing is, man, I'm glad you're coming out here. You buy a plane ticket out here, I will get us tickets to go to the Raiders and Chiefs game out in Arrowhead, and we're gonna go ahead and experience Kansas City tailgate. They like to get down and barbecue just like we do. Mm-hmm. So I'd like you to get to experience that. The Raider Nation has our own whole section out in a parking lot. Yeah. People don't realize how when you're a Raider fan, bro, it's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's never easy being a Raider fan. But when everybody around you that you deal with on an everyday basis is either a Raiders fan or a 49ers fan, and right now 49ers fans not talking shit at all.
No.
So when everybody around you, all the media and everything is all about you, it's a different experience than when you're out in enemy territory, bro, when everybody hates you, literally, simply because of the team that you root for. And I say hate loosely. Don't get me wrong. I'll tell you this one story. About a time I went to Arrowhead. It was December 25th, Christmas Day. And a buddy of mine, we made a bet. Whoever lost the football, we both bought tickets. And whoever lost the football game had to reimburse the ticket price for the other person.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So we went to this football game, and I went as Skull Raider. And I'm sitting in the end zone. And it was cold outside, and that Skull Raider mask was keeping me quite warm. And I really, in the stands, none of the fans really jeered me or said anything negative to me. But I went to the bathroom, bro, and that's, to me, as a man, the last place you expect to get accosted while you got your dick in your hand. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
So I'm sitting there peeing, and this group of Chief fans came in and, see Skull Raider and Arrowhead peeing in their urinals. I guess they kind of was like, hold on, he's marking our territory, pissing in our urinal. You know what I mean? So they came in, and they was like, fuck the Raiders suck. And I snatched that mask off my head. As I was putting my dick back in my pants. I looked them all dead in the eye, and I was outnumbered 3-1. You know what I mean? I looked them all in the eye. I said, but you bitches don't want to fight, though. And they all in unison said, you're right. Hey, man, this is a family environment. What are you doing? You're getting violent. Jeez, all you Raider fans are like this. How do you ever get through a game? Hey, don't come in here talking shit to me while I got my dick in my hands. And, you might get punched in the mouth. But, yeah, no, I just found it humorous on how they came in with all that bluster. As soon as any threat of being dealt with by gent, they was like, oh, hell no, we don't want to deal with that at all. that wouldn't have went that way in a urinal bathroom in Oakland Coliseum if a Chief fan turned around and told a group of Raider fans, "You bitches don't want to fight, though."
Oh, really? Oh, we don't.
Somebody would have been going to the hospital, you know. And to tell the truth, I'm not gonna lie. When I got up out the bathroom, I was like, "Ooh, there was some big Nebraskan corn-fed ass white boys. I'm glad they didn't jump on me." But I had to hold it down for the silver and black at the time. I couldn't falter, you know what I mean? So man, I was glad they decided to back down.
Hey, you got to bark. Sometimes you got to bark to get them to back off. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, bro, I can't be having motherfucking Chief fans thinking the Raider fans is going, you know, after all they see on the internet, and then they get one in their stadium and be punk out at what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All the fights they done seen in our parking lots.
Well, all right.
I had to keep the mystique alive.
You got to keep up the good work for Raider Nation. You got to hold up that posture. We got a reputation for a reason.
Hey, man, and I encourage every Raider fan, bro, out there to go to an away game. You know, you got to think about what it means to be a Raider. Listen to the mantra of team is a Raider. Raiders don't sit at home. They go and raid. In order to raid, you got to go out to enemy territory and handle your business. You know, every card-carrying Raider fan should have to go to at least one away game. And shoot, I don't care if it's in the preseason and you got to go to Santa Clara and watch them play the 49ers. Anything. But watch your team play in white on the other team's field and give your team the cheers that you would give them while they were playing in the Coliseum.
Amen.
They notice that.
Amen.
They feel that. You know what I mean?
I'm about to get my card punched. This year. I'm excited for that, man. We're about to pillage just for fun, so to speak.
Yeah. Hey, man, and your host is welcome to come. Just let me know, and I get it for to handle for both of y'all.
Yeah, man. We'll see what's up. You're gonna see my face for sure. It's gonna be cool. It's been a minute since I've seen you. You came out to the Bay not too long ago. We chilled. We did our thing. But to actually sit down and watch it, well, we don't sit down. Let me back up. To actually stand next to you and watch a game, this is gonna be tremendous, man. I'm really looking forward to it. The date's marked on my calendar already. Let's get after it, man. Bet this is a deal right now. It's marked in blood. We're coming for you, Chiefs fan. We're gonna be out there. And we'll probably do a little broadcast out there too. I think while we're out there, that's in order for sure.
Yeah, man, that'll be awesome. Talk shit to Chief fans on air. Let them give their sides of the story, which really ain't a side of the story. We all know what the real is. They're mad because their daddies taught them to be mad. To tell you the truth, fan our age, bro. They've been winning against us so consistently, you know. They themselves haven't experienced, you know, what their fathers experienced. They got a taste of it yesterday or Thursday night, just a taste of it. But that ain't even a taste. You know, we edged them out. We need to get back to giving them a true reason to hate us. We need to earn the hate that they give towards the Raiders. That's what we need to do.
And we said that
a good spanking at home in Arrowhead will be a great start for that to happen.
That'd be a great start to a postseason run. And we said that at the beginning of the season. The biggest checkbox this year was beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. We got one already on our field, as it should be. It's time to take it to Kansas City and make that happen. I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. And Jen, I know you call in to the game, too. I know you live out in KC, but through the wonders of the internet, you're able to listen to 95.7. And I know you call in, so a lot of our listeners listen, too. So if you recognize his voice, that's who this is. And if you don't, you probably will. And he's going to come back on with us too. You're going to hear more, Gent. This ain't the end. He's called into our show as well, so just tremendous.
Yeah, I
man.
need to start calling into your show more consistently too, man. I apologize. I'm gonna say to the listeners out there right now that Gent's gonna call in at least once a week.
Yeah, and you can call that number anytime, man. You can call it anytime, and I'll snatch that message off there, and we'll plug it right in, and we'll have you back on the show too, for sure. You're a good friend, man. I really appreciate this. It's been great talking to you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. All right, that was Gent, and we're gonna keep it moving right along here. We got Chase on tape. This is a segment brought to you every week by CreativeMediaMonterey.com. Check them out for all your printing and design needs. They do free Fridays. If you're looking to get a design done for your company, but you don't have a lot of money, you can check them out at I believe it's CM. Or just look up Creative Media Monterey, and they're on Instagram. You can check them out on their website, creativemediamonterey.com. Send them an email about your company and what you need done, and they pick one company a week, and then we'll sit down with you and do some free consulting with you and get you hooked up. Everything they do is done right out of their own place. It's all handmade. I mean, they're not stitching T-shirts, but they're doing it for you. I've seen it. They got quality control to stand behind their work. Sure, you can go to these online companies. You can order T-shirts from China, but order something that's here, made in the Bay by people that I know, people that are real folks, Raiders fans to boot, and they're gonna hook you up real nice, real proper. So we're again joined by Chase this week. So welcome, Chase. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Glad to be here after a win this time around.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Good feeling. Hopefully we can keep this going every week now.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. And you had sent me a text earlier today. You were breaking down tape, and you noticed some trends in the game and some shifts in those trends later in the game. And I thought it was really interesting because I saw there was a lot of video breakdown on this game during the week. Most of them centered on Amari Cooper moving around in positions on the field, and that's great. But you had some other things that you pointed out that I haven't seen other places. So if you don't mind shedding some light on that for our listeners and kind of telling us what worked and what we were doing differently to really open up this offense finally to get back to where we thought we should be. So what was it that you were seeing on the tape this week?
Yeah, man. So we had some pretty good adjustments going on this week. So one of the biggest complaints so far this year, as we all know with the offense, has been predictability, right? There's certain formations where we seem to want to run the ball out of. There's certain formations that it's obvious we want to throw out of, and we haven't really seen any variance between that.
Absolutely.
But this week we came out and we got a little more creative with the way we were calling our plays. For example, I believe the last time I was on, we talked a little about the tight bunch formation.
Yes.
And how that has really been a staple formation in our running game.
Yes.
And I thought it was beautiful right off the bat. The first long touchdown we got to Amari Cooper on the left sideline. It comes out of the tight bunch formation. We hand it off up the middle. It looks like it's going to be a run just like every week.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we get? We get a flea flicker.
Boom.
And it helps set up the touchdown. And that right there is a great example of creative play calling to set up big plays. And, Cooper wasn't even that open on the play, right? But,
right.
If you look at the opposite side of the sideline, or the opposite sideline rather,
yeah.
There's a wide open receiver. I forget if it's Patterson or if it's
I think it was Roberts.
If it's Robert.
Yeah, I think it was Roberts.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the flea flicker really paused the corner over on Robert's side.
Mm-hmm.
And if Carr didn't throw it to Cooper and if Coop didn't make a nice play, Roberts would have had the easiest touchdown of his career.
Yeah.
So that's one example of a little shift in our play calling that's helped setting things up.
And we had talked about this earlier, setting up plays in earlier games only to switch them up later. You put things on tape for coordinators to see, and then you switch it around several weeks later. It's game planning, not within the game, but outside of the game, right? Across games, the long game, if you will.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. You always have to be thinking ahead. You always have to think about how you could use, your own tendencies against your opponents,
mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm.
And another example, another thing that's been a big, hot button topic, and we've talked about it on the show before, play action, right? Where's the play action been?
Yes.
Well, this week we came out with a lot of play action, actually. In the first half, I have it down as 4 play actions. And I'm counting the flea flicker as a play action because it's essentially the same sort of idea. You want to freeze the defense for a second.
Yeah.
So in the first half, I have 4 play actions. In the second half, I have 5.
Wow.
And I believe that would give us the most play actions that we've had all season.
Yeah, I think we were at 12 total at one point, so we're running 9 in one game. That's big. That's huge.
It really is. And you could really tell when you watched the tape that this was a big part of our strategy to come out against Kansas City with a lot of play action passes. Because a lot of times, pretty much every time it seemed like we were running the play action, we were trying to set up like a deep crossing route. Cooper's second touchdown, it didn't come off a play action, but it's a good example of the sort of route we were trying to set up a lot all game. This sort of deep crossing route.
Right.
And if you could just pause those linebackers for a second, make them think it's a run, have them take a step up towards the line, then, man, it could really set up big opportunities down in the middle of the field, in that gap between linebackers and safeties.
That's it.
And that was really the area we were trying to take advantage of against this KC defense.
And then something else that you saw that we were going, was it 4 wide that you were saying in the first half and what we were doing with it?
Yeah. So in the first half, this 2-by-2 formation was our most prevalent go-to formation, right? So essentially you have two pass catchers split out to one side. One of them will be, Cook mainly, our tight end.
Yeah.
And the other side, you get 2 other receivers. And they're kind of, on both sides, they're off the line, so no one's really in tight along that line of scrimmage.
Okay.
And in the first half, we ran that 10 times, right? And all 10 times were passes.
Wow.
And we had some success off of it, too.
Sure.
I believe 6 out of 10 of those plays went for at least 10 yards. So we had success. And then what we do, we came out early in the second half, and I think it was the first drive of the second half. We come out in that 2-by-2 formation, and we hand it off right up the middle. And that is exactly what we've been talking about, not having offensively. We haven't been making these adjustments. And this time around, we go out, we do it, and those are the sort of things that could keep defenses on their toes. Even if you just do it, 2 or 3 times, that's enough to make defenders second guess and sort of start to wonder exactly what will be coming their way,
And now if you're a Buffalo coordinator, you're sweating it this week because we come out 4 wide, we come out 2-by-2. Now you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And another good example of that, coming into this game, whenever we were in our 13 personnel, with 1 running back, 3 tight ends, it was always a run coming into this game, always. And the one time we came out with our 13 personnel this time around, it was a vertical pass downfield where I believe it was like a 4 verts concept or something similar to that.
Okay.
And it didn't connect. I believe it was an incomplete pass.
Sure.
But again, just like what you said, that's enough to leave, Buffalo's coordinators wondering, what's going to be coming our way when they bring out this particular personnel this time around.
Right. So excellent segue. Getting into Buffalo. And early in the show, we've broken this down. Obviously, you haven't heard this yet because we haven't posted, and you're not sitting here with me. But we talked about what it's going to take to beat Buffalo. As you know, they have a tremendous front 4. They're middle of the pack at stopping the run, but they play a little bit better than that. They are a great run stopping defense. The secondary opportunistic for getting turnovers, but they're a little bit banged up right now. So do you see similar keys in this game as it was in the KC game, especially now that we're without Marshawn Lynch and you got 2 smaller size running backs, even though DeAndre plays a little bit above his size. And hey, so does Rashard. He can break a tackle. Do you see a similar key in this game, spreading them out?
I certainly do. And I think it's going to be really interesting for us to see how we use Amari Cooper this time around. I'm most curious to see if, I think Coop was he was in the slot about a third of the time against Kansas City. So I'm curious, was that Kansas City Chiefs specific game planning, or is that something that we're just going to try and work more into our offense from now on? So I'm certainly going to have my eyes on that this week, and I think we have to do the same thing. I think you go out and you do the same thing, and the way we're really stressing defenses, or the way we stressed Kansas City's defense, at least last week, it's really tough to know what's coming. You could get these cross routes, shorter to the line of scrimmage. You could attack deep on the perimeter. You could put Coop all the way on the inside and have him just split the safeties down the middle. There's so many different things you could do when you really open up the passing game. And I think we just got to keep it going. I think we come out with the same sort of idea. I'm very curious to see what changes in our run scheme. We've really gotten back to power running. We've seen a lot more counters behind pulling tight ends and pulling linemen. And I'm curious if that's still going to happen as much with Lynch out of the game, or if we're going to try and get these smaller running backs to the perimeter a little more. Are we going to go back to a little more zone? I mean, like you said, this is a tough front four. I'm very curious to see what happens, but I think we just got to keep it going.
I agree with you. I think we need to get behind those linebackers, and DeAndre and Jalen are both great pass-catching running backs that can really turn on the Jets after grabbing the ball. So our options don't stop at wide receivers and tight end in this game. Look for Derek Carr to really spread this out and sling the ball around. Kane had come on earlier and said the key to scoring the game was points. And I'd mentioned that might sound obvious to you, but we really do have the opportunity to put up a lot of points this week and to keep Buffalo at bay. They're good offense. They have weapons. They're not as high-powered as Kansas City. This can be not our first lopsided victory of the season, but our first on this side of the season for sure.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, this is a very winnable game. Get away from us. We have to seize the momentum that we started to build up, I think, with this epic win over Kansas City last week.
And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if we get a W this week in Buffalo, and like you just said, the key word momentum, we build on that rolling into Miami, who's got problems of their own right now. They're down to, I believe, like their third quarterback. Matt Moore's their starting quarterback right now this week. They're banged up. They're gripping over there in Miami. And this is a team that, I mean, I'm not talking about the roster. I'm just talking about the Miami Dolphins that have given the Raiders fits in the recent past. Look for us to get over that hump and break the Miami curse, whatever that is, where our offense just doesn't get going. So this is a key game. Obviously, it's a must win, but it's a tremendous momentum builder. You can say that we stole that game away from Kansas City. I don't want there to be any doubts after this week. We need to just put it on Buffalo this week.
Exactly. What we're really going to find out what the 2017 Raiders are made of in these next couple weeks. You mentioned it. These next two games are so critical for us. There's a chance for us to get over 500 again, finally, right? Mm-hmm. And then we go into our bye week with another insanely important game against the Patriots. I mean, imagine if we could pull off these next three games, how that would change just the entire outlook of our season from 1 week ago, right now. It's really amazing how quickly things can turn around in the NFL. And we just got to be able to take advantage of this. This is a very critical point for the Raiders.
You've been hearing it all week. Winning is the best deodorant. And let's just keep layering that stuff on this week. I want to smell real good coming out of Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for joining us this week, Chase. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest before we move on out of here?
Well, I'm really concerned. I'm getting concerned about the secondary.
Okay.
I don't think I know Alex Smith has been, he's been having a really good season. I know there's even been MVP talks about Alex Smith.
Sure.
But it's still worrisome to see Alex Smith torching your secondary, and I'm very curious to see who steps up. We have to find a way to force turnovers in the passing game. We're still yet to get that interception.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to have to continue to bring the pressure. Mac is commanding so much attention. Every week you see these little clips where Mac is getting triple teamed and double teamed all the time. this has to be opening up opportunities for other players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we've seen glimpses. We've seen Mario Edwards make a couple sacks. You know, we've seen Irvin make a few plays. But I can't help but feel like, we're not taking full advantage of the situation we're really given a gift right now, right? Where we know what offensive lines are going to be doing. They're going to be, shifting towards Mac. They're going to be shifting their protection towards number 52.
Right.
And we need to be able to figure out a way to take full advantage of that. And we also are going to have to start, David Amerson's going to have to step up. We need Amerson to truly be our number one corner.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have a number one corner.
And right now, we don't even have David Amerson because he's not practicing. He's got a foot injury. We don't have Carl Joseph. He's got a groin injury. It's looking like these guys aren't going to make the game. We're looking at Carey and McDonald on the outside. I'm calling out Navarro Bowman. He had a great game last week. It's time to build off of that. One thing that we did see, and there's a lot of criticism on Bowman, and it's well deserved as far as his speed and his lateral movement. But we saw last week he could blitz the quarterback still. He can get downhill.
Right.
And I think
right. And the true genius with Navarro Bowman, it's great to have these athletic linebackers who can fly around. But what Bowman really gives us is that true team leading, knowledgeable veteran linebacker.
Yeah.
Who could command the defense and give these little pointers, not even during the game, but, in preparation for the game.
That's true. Now he's been in that locker room for a full week. He's got to be a part of the game planning. You would think his brain is in that room. And so as well as he played last week, I expected to pay dividends this week. Like you said, veteran presence, and he's on that plane. We're going on the road. He's going to keep these guys grounded even before we land. Think about that. That was kind of a metaphor. Boom, mind blown. But like you're saying, with offensive lines double teaming Mac and whatnot, there's got to be an opportunity there for Mac and Irvin to get down there. I know Pagano is a blitz wizard, and it's time to put these guys to work. You don't have Joseph to send in as a missile this week, so I think it's got to come from our linebacking crew.
It really is. And if our offense truly is officially back, like it looked like they may be after last week's game, fingers crossed that we could keep that up.
Mm-hmm.
But if our offense is truly back, then, man, if our defense could just be middle of the road, then that's all we need. That's really all we need.
I agree. Do you want to give us a score prediction?
Oh, man, I think the Raiders could do this 30-20. I think Oakland wins 30-20.
I like that. Scott was just on here. He said 31-17, so you guys are really close.
Yeah.
I like the energy, man. I like the energy. Keep up the faith, Raider Nation. Don't lose hope. A lot of you guys quit 2 weeks ago. And look where we're at. We're right here. So I see you. I see you too, Chase. I like the spirit. I think more people need to have that attitude. We're holding it down for you guys here, Raider Nation. So, man, I appreciate you coming on every week. All the film study that you do, your passion does not go unnoticed. And check out the big brains on Chase.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it. I love talking to you guys every week, and it's a lot of fun, especially when we're getting these wins. So, hopefully I could call in after another win next week.
That's like Jack Del Rio says, let's keep stacking up wins.
Yeah, man, definitely.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I'll see you then.
All right, go Raiders.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, there it is, folks. Before we get out of here, we'll give you just a really quick injury report. Right now, I'm looking at it. We got David Amerson, as I already mentioned, did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. He's not going to be a go for this game. I'd be really shocked to see him step up. Conley, already said it. You can probably forget about him for the rest of the season. If I have to eat crow there, I will enjoy that crow with the extra helping of Tabasco sauce. KJ, we'll see. He was limited Wednesday, did not practice Thursday. That might just be seeing how he can respond on Friday, but I would say he's doubtful at this point. Marquette King, listed as a right groin injury. I guess King's such a badass. He has two groins. He has a right groin and a left groin. That being said, he was dashed on Wednesday. I believe he was at a personal function. And then Thursday was limited. Markel Lee limited with his ankle. Morrow limited with an ankle, Marshall Newhouse limited with a foot, and Lee Smith limited with a foot. I would expect all those limited players to go, so you'll see Markel Lee back in the game. Bear with me while I bring up the Buffalo Bills injury report here. But a tremendous show. I want to thank you guys for joining us every week, all the new listeners, all of the phone calls that you guys are sending us, all of the pillagers that are on pj4f.com every week. You guys are really entertaining. We don't have a whole lot of articles, full disclosure. I mean, everyone that participates on the site, we got day jobs. And we're doing our best here at night, during our breaks, our lunches, in the bathroom, hell, anywhere that we can, in the mornings, pre-gaming, just to get anything we can up there. We got fans that are going to be sending in more articles as we get closer to the playoffs. We have a nice little series that we want to bring back. The surveys that Radiar is posting, all of you guys, I just want to say thank you, because this is a collective effort. This is a family effort. This is not a company. We're not making money. Any money that's been donated or earned off of shirts or what have you, it all goes right back into making this blog possible. We got to pay rent here on the internet. It's not cheap to live online. And so shout out to a few people out there on the blog. Dirt Lot, you've been very generous. Silver and Black 666, you're incredible, holding it down. Raider K making your return. Che holding me down every week. I hope you and the family get better. Radiar, I already said it. 24, Eternal Pessimist, Purvis Man, Jesus Raider Jim. I don't know. I can go on and on and on. There's going to be people mad that I didn't say their names. Friskies, man, you're a blog legend. You're a classic. All of you guys out there holding it down in the comment section, some real characters, a real honest-to-God portrait of what Raider Nation looks like. I'm serious about that. I really am. If you're listening to the show, and you're trolling around online and you've read all the articles and you've gone on Reddit and you've upvoted everything you've liked and you've gone on Instagram and you've retweeted everything that you've seen and you're just craving more Raider action, come on over to pj4f.com, click on the top post, right, which would be this podcast right here at this moment. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, let that comment section load up, and take a little peek, because that's how I got started in this. About 2010, 2012, just trolling, looking for Raiders articles and just noticing all the comments on IBA Buzz, and then going down there and seeing what these guys were getting into. I think I lurked for a full at least 2 to 3 years before jumping in the frame myself, and it's something special that goes on there. The last few games we've been bringing folks in, Santa Clarita. We had folks come in from Pittsburgh last year, New Orleans. Nola Rick, how could I forget Nola Rick? Nola Rick, shout out to you. Shout out to Raider Brand. Shout out to D-Mac. Shout out to Tahoe. Shout out to, it's just so many of you. Shout out to Rick. Not Nola Rick. I'm just talking about Rick, Canadian Rick, the old Canuck on the site. We love you too, man. Who else have we had to come out? In One Word Raider, he came out recently. 303 Raider, tremendous individual, came out from Colorado. I mean, these guys are just coming from all over the place. Dutch Raider, you're incredible, holding it down up there in the North Bay. I know I'm forgetting people. There's too many of you guys to list. You guys are all my family. You guys are all brothers. I love every single one of you. So I promised you the Buffalo Bills injury report. Here we go. Little sidebar, but let's see what they got. Lorenzo Alexander, linebacker, did not practice on Wednesday. He was a scratch on Thursday. Preston Brown, full participation coming back there. Charles Clay, their tight end, did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. Don't expect him to play. EJ Gaines, hamstring injury, their cornerback. We said their secondary was banged up. He did not practice all week. Don't expect him to go either. We got Ramon Humbert, Richie Incognito, their guard, did not practice. I know a lot of you guys wanted him on the Raiders. Well, look, he's not even practicing this week. LaShawn McCoy did not practice on Wednesday. He's just out with rest. He needs his rest. Yeah, take a breath. Take a breath, Shady. Yeah. Jordan Poyer, safety, did not practice. Again, he's not going to play. He hasn't practiced all week. Logan Thomas, tight end, not related to injury, did not practice. Expect him to go. He's probably going to jump in for Clay. And last but not least, Kyle Williams, defensive tackle, also did not practice. Is there anybody in Buffalo practicing? Is there anybody practicing for this game? I didn't think so. Anyways, I'm Kenny Stapler. You can check us out every single week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and leave a message at 408-909-PJFF. Don't forget, we publish fan-submitted articles, so send us your best write-ups and see your work published online at pj4f.com. And don't forget, get dipped in your pillaging gear. Head over to pj4f.com/shop. Get your t-shirts brought to you by Creative Media Design Services, creativemediamonterey.com. Also, we got some Zazzle items up there. Get yourself a little Raiders flask. Get yourself a little frosty beer mug if you want. And our latest sponsor, NFLshop.com. Look, Mom, I made it. NFLshop.com. That's right. That's what's up. Anyways, I'm Kenny Stapler, joined every week by Raider Nation. And we out here. Peace. Go Raiders.